Good morning to you and a lovely welcome to the front page right here on STREAMTV. It's the 5th day in the month of August 2020 and this is the midweek edition of your morning starter, the front page. My name is Bismark Brown and thanks for joining us. We'll start off with a daily graphic this morning and it comes with a photograph of the Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honourable Professor Aaron Michael Quay. Banner headline, Sacrifice for National Development, Speaker tasks Nation. And the Speaker of Parliament, Professor Aaron Michael Quay, has called on Ghanaians to draw useful lessons from the sacrifices made by the founding fathers of the country and work together for national development. And that's a clarion call coming from the Speaker of Parliament. On the front page of Daily Graphic as well, don't misconstrue border closure, NPP tells NDC, but NDC insists on military withdrawal. And of course, yesterday, two separate press conferences were held by the NPP and the NDC. The New Patriotic Party has urged the National Democratic Congress to stop the deliberate attempt to confuse genuine efforts to secure the country's borders to mean that the NPP is preventing Ghanaians from taking part in the ongoing registration exercise. And Mr. Freddie Blay, who is the national chairman of the NPP, indeed Mr. Freddie Wasimewu Blay of the NPP, wondered why the NDC would resort to undermine the simple, civil and peaceful exercise of voter registration into one of ethnocentrism through outright fabrications, needless exaggerations and old-fashioned fear-mongering and propaganda. But the NDC maintains that the presence of the military in their strongholds is untenable. They will not take it and the military must be withdrawn. And these were fallouts from the two separate press conferences held by the NPP and the NDC yesterday. On the front page of Daily Graphic as well, prime suspect in Kafaba lynching arrested. And if you check out at page 16 of the Daily Graphic today, you find a photograph of Serena Mohammed, who is the prime suspect in the lynching of the 90-year-old woman, Madam Ekia Maria Madente, at Kafaba in the East Gonja municipality in the Savannah region. And she was arrested yesterday. The suspect has been identified as a 40-year-old woman called Serena Mohammed, and she was arrested in Yeji last Monday, I beg your pardon, and of course has been sent to the Salaga Divisional Police Headquarters and later transferred to the Regional Police Headquarters at Damango to assist in investigations. And that's also on the front page of Daily Graphic today. And we move on to some other papers, and the Ghanaian Times is our very next paper. The Ghanaian Times this morning reports celebration of Founders Day, Speaker eulogizes country's forebearers, and it's on the front page here of the Ghanaian Times. On the front page of the paper as well, Kafaba lynching case, fetish priestess grabbed, president cuts sword for Insukwao Basin drainage project. And if you live in Koforidua, I'm sure you know about Insukwao and the effect it has on the community anytime it rains heavily. And I'm sure that this will be a panacea to that problem. And it's on the front page here of the Ghanaian Times. Residents demonstrate against malfunctioning of Awoshi highway traffic lights. And it happened yesterday. There was chaos on the Unyinase Mangwase Road in Accra as some residents demonstrated demanding for street lights following the killing of a young man on the road by a vehicle. The angry residents, numbering about 400, were clad in red bands and singing war songs. They also blocked roads leading to Ablekuma, Kaneshi, Odoko, Kwashiman, affecting traffic because drivers plying that road became very, very stranded. The military and the police were called in to restore order, and it's you find the full details of the story at page 11 of the Ghanaian Times today. Let's move on to some other stories this morning, and the Daily Guide is our next paper. Banner headline, which killer flashed out of Yeji hideout, and it comes with the photograph of Serena Mohammed alias Hajia Filipina. Daily Guide reports as well, I groomed babies with sharp teeth. And these are aspects of the book yet to be launched by Professor Kwame Ahoy, a former Minister of Local Government and Rural Development. And in his book, we're told, according to the Daily Guide, that he has admitted that he groomed Felix Kwachio Fosu, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, Kojo Chumbuafo, and others to attack the founder of the National Democratic Congress, ex-President Jerry John Rawlings. According to him, this was part of a strategy to, quote and unquote, tame Mr. Rawlings, who had become a thorn in the flesh of the late President John Evans Atta Mills, who was also going to announce his resignation as a result of constant public criticisms he received from the NDC founder. Mr. Rawlings coined the term babies with sharp teeth in reference to young NDC office holders who were ready to devour anyone who dared to criticize the NDC administration. And let me just quote from the book, it worked and the strategy proved effective. Rawlings stoned now on his public criticism of President Mills. Instead, he turned his anger on the young boys and girls who were talking back at him whenever he criticized President Mills publicly, Professor Hoy revealed in his book yet to be launched. And there is another quote from the book, quite interesting, and I quote, "From our knowledge of President Rawlings, we knew that he could not stand being talked back to by people he considered his subordinates," unquote. And these are snippets of the book, Working with Rawlings, authored by Professor Kwame Ahoy. Daily Guide also says, free lights and water not for votes, and that's attributed to His Excellency the President. NPP Punches Mahama over bigotry is also a caption on the front page of the Daily Guide of today. Let's move on to the National Enquirer. The National Enquirer comes with a banner headline, NDC Indicts Akufo-Addo for terrorizing Voltarians and non-accounts with party thugs and military. And it's here, according to the National Enquirer on the front page. And this also came out of the NDC press conference held yesterday to complain about issues happening in their strongholds regarding the presence of the military. And they have called for the total withdrawal of the military. The National Enquirer says Boadu Insults Volta Chiefs. They are but polling station wardens, and it comes to the photograph of the General Secretary of the NPP, John Boadu, and the paper refers to an interview with a Bogatanga-based radio station, A1 Radio, where the General Secretary of the NPP is alleged to have said a few things about chiefs in the Volta region, which the paper is reporting today. And the General Secretary of the NPP said the honorable chiefs of the Volta were but National Democratic Congress Party polling station wardens. And according to John Boadu, he has data to prove this by claiming wildly that the chiefs of the Volta were quiet when a group of when a group of people declared the independence of Volta region, but became vociferous when security was deployed to the border towns to prevent the importation of the deadly virus COVID-19. So for the NPP General Secretary, why were the chiefs silent when a separatist group came out declaring the independence of the Volta region, and only have found their voice when borders have been closed? And it's reported by the National Enquirer today on its front page. Let's move on to the Chronicle. The Chronicle this morning reports, and it comes to the photograph of, well, then young Kwame Ahoy working with Rawlings. Ahoy fires double barrels, disrobes Rawlings, bad timing for Mahama. And that's an interesting analysis of the timing of this book. You know, we're close to elections, and the impact this could have on the image of Mr. Rawlings. The Chronicle says NPP accuses NDC of engaging in tribal politics. Also on the front page of the Chronicle, Chebi gears up for Akufo-Addo's second term. It's on the front page of the paper. Lotto wins must be paid promptly. That's coming from the board chair of the NLA. Well, trainee teachers doing national service backed by law and Mustafa Yusuf is the head of the National Service Secretariat, who is reiterating this morning. We move on to the insight, and the insight this morning talks about election 2020 and who is likely to win. Election 2020, new polls give Mahama edge over Akufo-Addo, and the paper tells us of two different surveys conducted quite recently, giving Mr. Mahama the edge. And the Ghana election poll is what the paper refers to, which is powered by Ghana Web and the Africa Consumer Panel, which is a cooperation between the digital publisher Africa Business Communities and renowned market research firm MSI ACI. And these two new independent surveys and polls conducted by the two separate organizations have ranked ex-President John Mahama as favorite over President Nana Akufo-Addo in the upcoming 2020 presidential election. And it refers to age groupings. Out of 792 adults, John Mahama won the hearts of more males than females, making 50.5% and 45.2% respectively, while President Akufo-Addo won the hearts of 37% of men against 33.3% of women. In the age bracket, however, Nana Akufo-Addo won the hearts of voters between ages 25 and 39 who said they would vote for him if elections were held today. Well, there are a number of graphs to also consider as you get a copy of the insight to find out details of these surveys. The insight also says, fight against COVID-19, medical experts defends use of hydroxychloroquine, and it comes with a photograph of Professor Enyonam Yawo Kwakume, who is the president of Family Health University College, and he's been defending the use of hydroxychloroquine to combat coronavirus. He says that if given much earlier, it has the potential to douse the devastating impact COVID-19 could have on a patient. And so it's on the front page here of the insight. But one would ask, what is Ghana's case management strategy? Are we using hydroxychloroquine, or we have some other protocols we're following? The Daily Statesman is our next paper. Let's check out what's happening on its front page today. NDC faces implosion as a Hoist plot rolling says downfall for Mahama, and it's a banner headline story on the front page of the Daily Statesman. Ghanaians can attest to my good work, President Akufo-Addo, well, blowing his own trumpet this morning. Akufo-Addo makes strong case for made in Ghana products. It's also a story on the front page of the Daily Statesman. The Daily Dispatch is our next paper. The Daily Dispatch this morning says, as 4% of Ghanaians vote on ethnic basis, focus on 2020 voters register and ethnicity. Kwame Ahoy on and that's a banner headline story, I beg your pardon, on the front page of the Daily Dispatch there. So we get statistics from the Daily Dispatch regarding the tribal groupings in the various regions and how they're broken down. And in the Greater Accra, for instance, Gans form a population of about 18.8%, Evers 17.9%, Fantis 10.6%, Dangbes 10.3%. If you hit the Eastern region, for instance, it puts the population at about 1.4 million as at August 1st or 1st August. Achims form 17.8%, Dangbes 16.9%, Evers 15.9%, and Akwapims 10.6%. Question is, where are we going with these statistics? Well, they make very interesting analysis, if you ask me, and its impact on the upcoming 2020 elections, and also in previous elections that we've had. On the front page of the Daily Dispatch as well, Kwame Ahoy on 31st December revolution, and that's also on the front page here of the Daily Dispatch. President Akufo-Addo cares for every Ghanaian, and that's coming from the Chief of Staff. Well, at the top right corner of the Daily Dispatch today, the photograph of the presiding Bishop of Perez Chapel, Bishop Charles Ajinasari, is there. And the caption says, "We stand by Bishop Agyinasare," and that's coming from the GPCC, Ghana Pentecostal Charismatic Council. And that group is actually rooting behind the bishop and asking for people who are attacking him to put a stop to it. Let me just quote a few portions of their statement. It says that, quote, "We wish to recall that since the beginning of the month of July, the presiding bishop has been teaching on the theme Building a Future After COVID-19. And it is not new. It says that the purpose of this statement is to declare our strong support for the presiding bishop, who is also a long-standing member of the council. And the GPCC says they have noted with concern some of the reactions to Bishop Agyinasare's pronouncement in the past 1 month, observing that some of these reactions have been in the form of insults, threats of harm, casting of innuendos, political branding, etc., which the council condemns and also describes as very unfortunate. And they wish to recall that since the beginning of the month of July, the presiding bishop has been teaching on the theme Building a Future After COVID-19. They have also said in their statement that we should be tolerant enough of each other. And that's on the front page here of the Daily Dispatch. Well, let's turn our attention to the only business paper this morning on our table. Business and Financial Times says that carers can adversely affect debt stock if not properly managed. And that's a warning or a caution coming from Deloitte. And carers is COVID-19 alleviation and revitalization enterprises support. And you know, government has set aside some amount of money to support businesses and enterprises who are financially distressed due to COVID-19. And its impact is what Deloitte is cautioning. On the front page of the Business and Financial Times as well, COVID-19 businesses cut wages for over 770,000 workers. And they've laid off close to 42,000. And that's coming from a research. And the shock caused by the COVID-19 pandemic has had considerable impact on Ghanaian businesses, forcing many firms to cut costs by reducing staff hours, cutting wages, and in some cases laying off workers completely. And this research reveals the extent to which COVID-19 has affected employment. Government considers move to reopen air borders. Proposal goes to President this week. The government is looking at opening its air borders. The Ministry of Aviation would be sending a comprehensive proposal to the President this week on how it plans to reopen the nation's air borders. The proposal has a detailed plan recommending a number of scenarios, impact analysis, and control mechanisms that can be introduced to hugely mitigate the fear of importing COVID-19 cases into the country when our air borders are finally opened. That's about it on the front page of the Business and Financial Times today. Let's head into Africa and find out what other issues are happening on the continent. And we're told that we are told about a case in Zimbabwe and also a situation in some other parts of Africa. And in Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe's Mwangawa vows to flush out opponents, and that is also some politics going on in some parts of Africa. We're told that the Zimbabwean president has vowed to flush out his opponents as anger with his government grows over alleged corruption and economic mismanagement. And it goes on and on and on to talk about how intolerant the leader is towards people who are demonstrating against excesses in his government. And more than 20 people have so far been arrested since last week when an anti-government protest was blocked. Images of security forces beating civilians have also prompted global outrage, but the president indeed insists on flushing them out. Also happening in Africa, Nile mega dam talks resume to resolve years-long dispute, and 3 key Nile basin countries have resumed their negotiations to resolve a years-long dispute over the operation and filling of a giant hydroelectric dam that Ethiopia is building on the Blue Nile. And if you recall, this has actually created some controversies and near fights, indeed, amongst the three nations. While Ethiopia believes that constructing this dam would indeed improve their country's electricity supply and all of that, the two other countries downstream have issues. And for Egypt, for instance, it's a big deal because that will stop the River Nile from also flowing to their side of the river. Sudan also has issues similarly as well, because they are all downstream, and this is indeed creating issues. Well, they're back to the negotiating table. Let's see how it goes. Well, Tanzanite. Do you know about Tanzanite? Well, Tanzanian miner earns millions after second rare find. Well, a Tanzanian small-scale miner who became an overnight millionaire in June for selling two rough Tanzanite stones valued at $3.4 million has sold another gem for $2 million. And the third discovery by Sininu laser weighed 6.3 kilograms. Tanzanite is only found in northern Tanzania and is used to make ornaments. If you don't know about Tanzanite, you want to research on it. It is one of the rarest gemstones on earth, and one local geologist also estimates its supply may be entirely depleted within the next 20 years. The precious stone's appeal lies in its variety of hues, including green, red, purple, and blue, and its value is determined by its clarity. The finer the color or clarity, the higher the price. And that is what is also happening in Tanzania. Well, we'll leave it here. That's about it for this morning's front page. Thank you so much for being a lively companion. Thank you so much for the pleasure of your company. Have a good day. Continue to enjoy STREAMTV. We have loads and loads of relevant content coming up for you. Watch out for this channel. My name is Bismark Brown. Have a super day.